about animal appreciation, because that's the most important thing I think about coming here when I talk to you guys. I want you guys to get a better sense for appreciation for animals. It's not just about reptiles and amphibians, okay? Right now, the rainforests in South America are not doing too well. Scientists say that in the next 20 to even 30 years, we could possibly lose all of our poison dart frogs in the wild, and we won't have any. So that's what's important about keeping these guys in captivity. Some people don't like zoos and they think that we're taking animals out of the wild, but actually a lot of people are protecting these animals. And the people in the poison dart frog hobby are very, very passionate about protecting them and preserving them. Not breeding them with other types of frogs to make other big concoctions of frogs, other breeds. We're about preserving, because in the next 20 to 30 years, we're kind of afraid that there's going to be no more rainforest. In South America, it's very different. There's some laws and rules that we can't really control, and sometimes they go into an entire rainforest filled with frogs, animals of all sorts, and they cut it down, and then they plant some coffee fields. And so they have coffee beans that they raise up, but all those animals in that field are now dead. And that's what's happening with a lot of the amphibians, is they can't survive, they can't adapt in the wild because humans are destroying that land. Another thing that's happening in the wild right now is a disease for frogs in particular is called chytrid. And chytrid is a disease that we don't know how it started. What it does is it gets on the skin of the frog, and it basically does not allow it to breathe and will kill it very rapidly. And that's another reason why we bring them out of the wild into captivity, so we can preserve, educate, bring them to zoos so many people can see the beauty of nature. Right now, there's a lot of you guys, I don't know if you have smartphones and stuff, but sometimes people get caught up in watching TV and stuff, and we're not getting outside and playing and doing all sorts of things. When I was a kid, I was always out and about. Okay, I loved snakes my entire life. Actually, I'll be honest with you, I did not like frogs my entire life. I loved snakes. Snakes were my big passion. And it wasn't until about maybe 5 years ago that I got into frogs, and that was because I started exploring and going out in a forest where I went to school. I started finding frogs, and I could handle certain frogs. These frogs in particular I don't handle just because their skin's so sensitive, but there are frogs in the nature in California and some nature parks and preserves that you can go and handle, and they're not going to hurt you. And it's really cool just to see up close. It's not like you raise a frog on a smartphone. It's totally different. Okay, you're really involved with it. You get to see the whole life of the frog. This is the most exciting part, is the breeding, because I get to see I get to basically raise a frog all the way up until it's an adult frog. That's really rewarding, and a lot of people in the reptile hobbies, they love that part of it, because you get to actually see the animal grow up and to be an adult. It's really cool. Okay. One thing I want to leave you guys with is, now you guys said you're not afraid of any reptiles and amphibians, right? Nobody's afraid. Everybody except for this guy in the front, which I appreciate your honesty, because I was afraid of some snakes too. But everyone said there. So if you saw a snake, like a rattlesnake, you guys know what a rattlesnake is. Everybody does. They're around here some places. What would you do? Scream. Wait, hold on. I just heard you guys were all brave and you weren't scared. But you guys are not going to scream. What would you do? Get me on the back.
I would stay put.
Stay put, right? Okay, so some people actually would scream, bloody murder, go crazy, go tell their mom, and then their mom's going to go get a shovel and go kill the animal, right? Do you think that's cool, that they kill the animal? Okay, so that animal, these frogs in particular, and other snakes, they're really tiny. Even though we have those big snakes, they're still small to us. If you look at around the room, there's all different sizes of people, right? All of you guys are bigger than most snakes. Bigger, I mean, you're taller. You put a snake on the ground, you're taller than it, right? You guys ever heard of Godzilla? Yeah. You guys are all Godzilla to that snake. Okay? So when you see that snake in your backyard or on a trail, it doesn't say, oh, look, another person, I can just go on by and find. It immediately goes, oh my gosh, that is one big person. I need to either try to bite them, get away, or whatever. Just don't mess with me. So that's what rattlesnakes do. They'll be minding their own business. A person will come up on them on a trail or in their backyard or in their garage, some places, and immediately they get scared. And what do? Start rattling that tail. What do you think that rattle does? Go ahead, shout out some answers. Warning, exactly. That's a perfect answer. That's what it is. It's not, hey, come look at me, come mess with me, come pick me up. That's saying, get away, please. I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you pick me up, right? So a lot of people think you got to kill it because it's going to attack me. Well, there are people you can call to get snakes off your property in a nice way, not kill them. They're not verminators. They're not there to kill the animal. They're there to take it off the property and put it in the wild. So I personally believe snakes were here first. All these homes around here, in the last, 60 years maybe, a lot of these homes weren't here. Who was here first? Some of the snakes and some of the coyotes, different animals, right? So all these animals, they were around here, and then we came in and we put our homes here. So now we have to live with those animals, and they have to live with us, unfortunately. So some of these snakes, they don't get it too fair, you know, they get killed without even people thinking about it. So that's the number one thing I want you guys to take away from here is animal appreciation and not be completely scared. It's okay that you don't like snakes and you don't want to touch them and you don't want to interact with them. But I don't personally think it's okay that people just kill snakes, you know, because they're really not trying to do us any harm. I promise you, snakes are not trying to hurt anybody. They're just trying to get away and live their life free, okay? So that's the one thing that I do want you guys to take away from here is that all animals, we have dogs, we have cats, we have possums. Possums are around here. Do you ever see possums on the road dead? They're the same thing. Possums are actually protected in California. We're not supposed to touch them. We're not supposed to kill them. And it's a little animal that we don't think too much about, but really, we shouldn't even be killing that. We should just try to stay away from that. We don't want our dogs to go out and try to kill it just because it's on our property. It's just trying to get away from us. It's not trying to mess with anybody, okay? So we have all sorts of different raccoons, coyotes sometimes come in my neighborhood. So that's another thing, okay? At this time, we can either do the questions or you guys can come up at the end, whatever you'd like to do.
Why don't we do some questions first?
Okay. So I'm going to call in some people. I might not get to everybody. I apologize. I'm not going to call my brother. Again, he keeps raising his hand.
You want me to record questions too?
Sure. So go ahead, everybody raise your hand. I'm going to try to get as many as I can, but I might not, so I apologize.
And you know what I like to do? If you are selected by name, introduce yourself so that when he refers back to you, he knows your name.
Sure. And try to be respectful to others too when they're talking. Listen to them. If you've already asked a question, don't raise your hand again because it might be hard. I don't want to call on you again, but try to get to everybody to have a question, okay? Go ahead, you in the back.
I'm Ryan. If you just touched one of the frogs, could you get poisonous or something?
No, I'll show you. I'll show you. You know, I typically don't touch my frogs because they're very sensitive, but my hands are pretty clean right now. But this, remember I said this is the most poisonous animal in the world, right? Or vertebrate. But mine isn't poisonous because it's been captive bred, okay? It's not from the wild. I touched this guy. He's gonna, see how he gets scared? I barely touched him and he jumped. He's still trying to get away from me, okay? That's what these frogs do. They don't want me to come in there and mess with them because I'm big. I put my face up here and they're like, oh my gosh. However, some of these guys, I've had them for a while. I've had these blue frogs for like three years now. And they know when I come home, they come right to the front. They're like, he's going to feed us. So they actually are conditioned to do that. They'll come to the front and they'll sit on the glass like, come feed us now. Like, and they'll actually wait, okay?